The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has released the results of the recently conducted 2025 UTME resit examination for candidates at centers impacted by technical glitches. Well, the statement by the Public Communications Advisor of the board, Fabian Benjamin, says that while the initial glitches was unfortunate, it was also revealed numerous alarming practices perpetrated by candidates, certain proprietors of schools, computer-based test centers, which have exacerbated examination irregularities. But the statement explains that all results are now released, except for those of candidates who committed examination infractions and those slated for mop-up examinations. The statement also adds that while releasing the results, it should be emphasized that recent discoveries, especially by security agencies, have necessitated a withdrawal of some of these results of implicated candidates across the country who have been previously released. But according to the JAMB spokesman, out of 336,845 who were eventually scheduled after isolated good sessions of the affected centers were excluded and their previously unverified candidates were added, 21,082 were absent. In the meantime, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, as we heard earlier, has released results of the 2025 UTME resit examination. The examination body updated the overall distribution of scores, saying that it will go ahead to also release the full results in all underaged candidates. Well, tonight, we search for answers on how examination performance can actually be improved in Nigeria. Babajide Ogunsowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more analysis and intelligence about the 2025 UTME results. Thank you very much, Babajide. I mean, this just brings memory of when we wrote JAMB, but more than 330,000 students were actually scheduled for the UTME resit exams. What do these results look like with the release of it?
These results look quite the same. I don't know if you remember your JAMB,
I do remember.
JAMB score. However, first of all, is the decision by the Registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishak Oloyede, to have students recite this exam is a rare one, as rare as the one kobo coin. But it is also the right decision. It's also the right decision because parents feel more satisfied. And I spoke closely to one of the parents and her daughter, and I asked her, what's the difference? And she gave me permission to share the results the first time her daughter took the exam and the second time. And she said, this is a classic case, in her words, of renewed hope for her daughter. So let's take a look at what happened. Just like several parents have similar results. What happened the first time this young student took the exam and the second time? These are the results, exact results of candidate Munyolua. Her registration number, some information has been kept private. However, the first time she took the results, her exact results in English, economics, mathematics, and physics, aggregate score and 152 out of 400. That result puts Munyolua in the bottom 25% of all results. She complained that glitches significantly influenced her performance. Now, what the JAMB registrar and the JAMB management have done is created an opportunity and opportunities for other students for another chance, renewed hope, as they call it. And in this result, we see a clear difference from 152 that kept her in the bottom 25% to 262 that has put this same candidate that was once in the bottom 25% to now to be among the top 5%. So clearly we've seen that it's a tough decision, but again, let's forget the words of Winston Churchill. All men make mistakes, but only the wise ones learn from their mistakes. So clearly we know where JAMB belongs to and its management on what exactly has happened.
Well, Babajide, I mean, I said earlier that this just brings back memories, but for some of us were lucky to just sit for it once and got it right without glitches. But when you look at the 2025 UTME results, is this still consistent with the trend, or is it better with the historical trend when you look back at what had happened before now?
So After studying the 2025 UTME results, I've classified it as it's the best of bad news. And I'll explain what I mean by it's the best of bad news. JAMB started this computer-based testing in 2013. So it's easy to group it into what we've seen is 4 generations. And I'll explain what I mean by 4 generations. We've seen generation 1, 4 years, those that took the exams 2013, 14, 15, 16. We'll examine those results. Generation 2, 2017, 18, 19, 20. Generation 3, 2021, 22, 23, and 24. And now we are started the 4th generation. And if we take a look at the results across these year groups, these 3 generations that have completed and the beginning of the 4th generation, here's what you will notice. The position we have is more than 70% of students still score below 200. First generation, 2013 to 2016, 6.4 million students, 78% scored below 200. The second generation, students 2017, I took JAMB 2017 to 2020, 7 million students, 76% scored below 200. And the third generation of students that took JAMB between 2021 to 2024, 6.3 million students, another 79% of those students scored below 200. Now, why do I say this is the best of bad news? This year, the beginning of the 4th generation, 1.9 million students, we've seen 1.93 million results released. Again, 71% scored below 200. Why is this the best of bad news? Is comparing it to the previous generations, this is the best generation. However, this best generation in terms of 71% is still bad news because, again, 71% is a lot of these results that have been released scoring below 200. So that's the real situation we find ourselves. But here's why it is more troubling. And if you look at what exactly is in front of you, the summary is that since JAMB started computer-based testing in 2013, 22 million results have been released. However, only 1 in 4 students score above 200. That's the summary of the situation we have today. And so I'm calling on a declaration of a war on education. Just as we're fighting a war on trying to restore peace to all parts of the country, we are looking at the situation, and that's what the statistics tell us. And between 2013, when CBT started to date, 22 million results released. However, only 1 in 4 students score above 200. So clearly, we have a lot going on.
Exactly, because I was going to say, I mean, maybe on another day we'd have to discuss why this is happening, because it should be getting better, not getting worse. But let me ask again, is there any statistical anomaly when you look at these results for you, or any special insights when you look at it?
So there are 3 things. First is what I started with, that the decision by JAMB, especially the registrar, is rare, but it's the right one. The second is we have to declare a war on education because the numbers are bad. Even though 2025 seems significantly better or better than the previous years, it is still bad. So it's the best of bad news. But yes, there are anomalies across all the geopolitical zones. But because of time, I'll focus on one zone, and hopefully in the days ahead, I'll share the insights from the other zones. Let's take a look at the Northwest, because it allows us to clearly spot trends that should bother everyone. What is going on in Nigeria's Northwest region? And I'd like to take some time to explain this table. Now, these are all the states in the Northwest, and national population rank puts Kano as number 1. During the election of 2023, Kano was also number 1 in terms of total election votes in the presidential election. No other state produced more presidential election votes more than Kano. However, looking at the JAMB rank in terms of how many students are writing JAMB or took the exam in Kano, Kano comes on that ladder, 7th position. So that's bad news. Excuse me. Kaduna, national population rank, 3. Presidential election rank, 2. Where is Kaduna on the JAMB ladder? 4. Bad news. Sokoto, 17 in national population rank, 15 when the presidential elections happened in 2023. Where is Sokoto on the JAMB registration rank? 33. Kebbi, same thing. National population, 23. Presidential election rank, 18. Where is Kebbi State when it comes to JAMB student registration and those taking exams? 35 out of 36. Katsina, listen carefully to this. Katsina, the 4th most populated state in the country. During the presidential election in 2023, it produced, in terms of ranking, 5th in terms of total votes. However, where is Katsina when it comes to students taking JAMB? It comes 23rd. Jigawa, 8th in national population. Presidential election rank, only 5 other states produced more votes than Jigawa during the presidential election. But where is Jigawa when it comes to JAMB students taking their exams? 31 out of 36 on the ladder. And finally, Zamfara, 21 in population during the elections, 24th in terms of turnout. However, when it comes to students writing JAMB in Zamfara, Zamfara is the worst performing state when it comes to looking at where students are sitting for the exam. So clearly what we see is when it comes to election turnout, the Northwest is leading. Yeah. But when it comes to students queuing and writing JAMB, the Northwest isn't the place to go. That is the challenge. So we see this anomaly not only in the Northwest, so that there are anomalies across the 6 geopolitical zones. But then I know because of time, it will be tough to touch across what exactly are the anomalies in the North Central, the Northeast. A lot of anomalies as well in the Southwest, South, and Southeast. But again, the good news for a lot of parents is with the opportunity their children had to redo JAMB, it was a classical case of renewed hope. And I won't put you on the spot by asking you if you said you could remember your JAMB results.
Don't do it. Yeah, not just once.
Okay, so you probably scored 300, 350.
I did well. Well, thank you very much, Babajide Ogunsanya, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst. Very soon, I'm sure we'll come back here to talk about the problems in the education sector in Nigeria and the way forward.
We have to declare a war on education. 22 million results released since JAMB started CBT. Yeah. Only 1 in 4 score above 200.
I can imagine. All right, thank you very much, Babajide, once again.